B&B spoilers. Sheila overhears a secret. Deacon's Taylor confession blows up. The bold and the beautiful spoilers and updates tease Sheila Sharp, Kimberlyn Brown, is about to catch wind of a shocking confession from Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, regarding Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig. This revelation is bound to send the already betrayed wife into a frenzy. Deacon and Taylor are on the cusp of crossing the lines into more than friendship. As the week of January 5th to 9th unfolds, Deacon will find himself spending some quality bonding time with Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn. This precious time together will provide Deacon with the perfect chance to open up about his feelings, ultimately leading to a significant confession. It appears that Deacon is on the brink of revealing that his feelings for Taylor have grown beyond mere friendship. Furthermore, he might also admit that, judging by the signals Taylor has been sending, she too is sensing the chemistry between them. Deacon could very well come clean about some of the inappropriate moments that have occurred during their therapy sessions. Taylor and Deacon have continued on a path where they've been crossing boundaries. Given that they have been crossing perilous boundaries and straying from the conventional doctor-patient dynamic, Deacon has a significant amount to express about Taylor. Regrettably, spoilers from B&B indicate that Deacon will be unaware of Sheila's presence nearby. It's quite possible that Sheila is lurking just around the corner at Il Giardino, a location she has previously utilized for eavesdropping. In any case, Sheila will certainly tune in to at least a portion of the conversation between Deacon and Deke. Even if she doesn't catch every detail, she will gather enough information to sense impending trouble and will choose to confront Deke afterward. Sheila will ask Deke what's going on between his dad and Taylor, but he may not be forthcoming. Naturally, Deke might choose to remain silent, claiming it's not his role to disclose anything. He could argue that if Sheila has concerns regarding her marriage, she should approach Deacon rather than him. Yet, Deke may also feel quite anxious about Sheila's erratic behavior and the risk of her losing control once more. It's undeniable that Sheila is very protective of Deacon, which could lead Deke to be concerned for both his father's and Taylor's safety. Deke might eventually caution Deacon, but will Sheila take decisive action before he gets the opportunity, considering she could flip out? Once Sheila learns about Taylor and Deacon becoming too close for comfort, she could easily go off the rails. The halls of Il Giardino are usually filled with the aroma of fine Italian cuisine and the sounds of clinking wine glasses. But today they echo with a chilling silence that precedes a storm. In a twist that has left the bold and the beautiful fans reeling, the fragile peace between the Forresters, Logans, and Sharps has officially shattered. The very sad news isn't just about a breakup or a business deal, it's about the potential loss of a soul and the resurrection of a monster. Sheila Carter, the woman who claimed to be reformed, has just overheard the one secret that could send her back to her darkest impulses. The secret that changed everything. For weeks, the tension between Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes has been simmering just beneath the surface. What started as a series of therapy sessions to help Deacon process Sheila's betrayals, specifically her involvement in the Luna Nozawa cover-up, quickly turned into something much more dangerous. In a moment of raw vulnerability at the restaurant, Deacon confessed his true feelings to his son, Deke Sharp. He didn't just admit to a crush. He confessed that Taylor has awakened a part of him he thought was dead, a part that craves a life of respectability, peace, and a partner who isn't looking over her shoulder at a criminal record. "I think I'm falling for her, Deke," Deacon whispered, unaware of the shadow lurking near the kitchen door. "Taylor is everything Sheila isn't. She's the life I actually want." Sheila's world collapses. The tragedy of this moment lies in the timing. Only hours earlier, Sheila had been venting to Lee Finnegan, practically begging for a way to prove to the town that she had truly changed. She genuinely believed that her marriage to Deacon was her final anchor to humanity. When Sheila heard Deacon admit that he views Taylor as his escape from her, the look on her face wasn't just anger. It was pure, unadulterated heartbreak. This is the very sad news for Sheila fans, The woman who tried to be good just realized that the man she loves considers her a burden. Why this confession is a death sentence. The drama didn't stop at the restaurant. While Sheila processed the betrayal, Steffi Forrester was busy sounding the alarm at the Cliff House. Steffi, ever the protector, witnessed a sizzling moment between her mother and Deacon and immediately realized the stakes. The professional risk. Taylor is Deacon's therapist. An affair doesn't just ruin her reputation. It could cost her medical license. The physical risk. Steffi knows better than anyone what happens when you take something that belongs to Sheila Carter. What happens next? The fallout. The atmosphere in Los Angeles has shifted from romantic to predatory. As of the latest episodes in January 2026, the chess pieces are moving toward a violent endgame. Character current status, the risk Taylor Hayes confused and smitten becoming Sheila's #1 target. Again, Deacon sharp remorseful but determined losing his business and his safety. Sheila Carter unraveling a return to her psychotic roots. Steffi Forrester panic mode forced to choose between her mom's happiness and her family's safety. A confrontation for the ages. The episode concluded with a scene that will go down in B&B history. Sheila didn't go home to cry. Instead, she went straight to Taylor's office. The scary warning she delivered wasn't loud or screaming. It was a low, vibrating threat that left Taylor visibly shaken. Sheila reminded Taylor of their history, of the time she shot her, of the time Taylor saved her marriage. "I thought you were my friend, Taylor," Sheila hissed. "But you're just another thief in a designer's suit. Is there any turning back?" For those hoping for a Deacon and Taylor fairy tale, the news is grim. Even if they find love, it will be a love born in the shadow of a woman who has nothing left to lose. When Sheila Carter loses her anchor, she usually takes the whole ship down with her. The today very sad news is a reminder that in the world of the bold and the beautiful, redemption is a thin veil, and secrets are the needles that tear it apart. That character current status, the risk Taylor Hayes confused and smitten becoming Sheila's #1 target. Again, Deacon sharp remorseful but determined losing his business and his safety. Sheila Carter unraveling a return to her psychotic roots. Steffi Forrester panic mode forced to choose between her mom's happiness and her family's safety. A confrontation for the ages. The episode concluded with a scene that will go down in B&B history. Sheila didn't go home to cry. Instead, she went straight to Taylor's office. The scary warning she delivered wasn't loud or screaming. It was a low, vibrating threat that left Taylor visibly shaken. Sheila reminded Taylor of their history, of the time she shot her, of the time Taylor saved her marriage. "I thought you were my friend, Taylor," Sheila hissed. "But you're just another thief in a designer's suit." Is there any turning back? Is once again rocked by heartbreak, betrayal, and a devastating truth that was never meant to be heard. In today's very sad and emotionally explosive turn on the bold and the beautiful, one careless confession changes everything, because Sheila Carter is listening. And when Sheila overhears Deacon Sharp's deeply personal confession about Taylor Hayes, the fallout is immediate, brutal, and irreversible. What begins as a quiet moment of honesty between Deacon and himself turns into a ticking time bomb that threatens multiple lives, fragile relationships, and the thin line of peace that's been holding together at Forrester Creations. By the end of the day, nothing and no one will be the same. A confession meant to stay private. Deacon Sharp has never been a man comfortable with vulnerability. His life has been built on survival, second chances, and paying the price for past mistakes. But recently, Deacon has been struggling under the weight of emotions he can no longer deny. Feelings that run deeper than guilt, friendship, or shared history. Taylor Hayes. In a rare moment alone at Il Giardino, Deacon finally allows himself to say the words out loud. He admits, painfully honestly, that his connection with Taylor has become something far more dangerous than he ever intended. He speaks of her calm strength, her ability to see the good in him when the world only sees his failures, and the way she makes him want to be better. Deacon confesses that he's falling in love with Taylor. But what Deacon doesn't realize is that he isn't alone. Sheila Carter hears everything. hidden just out of sight, Sheila Carter overhears every devastating word. And this is where everything goes terribly wrong. Sheila doesn't just hear a confession, she hears opportunity, pain, jealousy, and a betrayal that cuts deeper than Deacon could ever imagine. Because while Deacon is confessing his feelings for Taylor, Sheila hears something else too. Confirmation that she has already lost him. For Sheila, this is not just about love, it's about rejection. It's about being replaced. And worst of all, it's about Taylor Hayes once again standing between Sheila and the life she believes she deserves. As Deacon pours his heart out, unaware of the danger lurking nearby, Sheila's expression hardens. Her eyes fill not with tears, but with rage. This secret was never meant to reach her ears, and now that it has, the consequences are terrifying. Sheila's jealousy turns dark. Sheila has always lived by one rule. If she can't have happiness, no one can. Hearing Deacon speak about Taylor with tenderness and longing ignites something volatile inside her. Sheila remembers every slight, every rejection, every time she was told she wasn't good enough. And now, once again, Taylor Hayes is at the center of it all. In Sheila's mind, Taylor has stolen something that belongs to her. What makes this moment especially chilling is Sheila's silence. She doesn't confront Deacon right away. She doesn't storm out or cause a scene. Instead, she listens and plans. Those who know Sheila understand that her quiet moments are the most dangerous. Deacon's guilt comes crashing down. Later, when Deacon realizes Sheila may have overheard him, panic sets in. He knows better than anyone how unstable Sheila can be when she feels cornered or betrayed. Guilt consumes him, not just for what he said, but for what his honesty could unleash. Deacon never intended to hurt Sheila. In his mind, the confession was a private reckoning with his own heart. But now, that reckoning has become a weapon in the wrong hands. He tries to backtrack. He tries to explain. But it's too late. Sheila doesn't want explanations. She wants revenge. Taylor walks into a nightmare, unaware of the emotional grenade that's already exploded. Taylor Hayes walks straight into the storm. She senses something is off, an unmistakable tension hanging in the air. When she encounters Sheila, the warning signs are everywhere. The forced smile, the cold eyes, the venom barely hidden beneath politeness. Taylor has spent her life navigating emotional minefields. But even she isn't prepared for what's coming. Sheila makes it clear, without saying a word, that she knows everything. And suddenly, Taylor realizes she's in danger. Ridge Forrester smells trouble. As if the situation wasn't already volatile enough, Ridge Forrester begins to suspect something is wrong. He notices Sheila's sudden interest in Taylor's whereabouts, Deacon's anxious behavior, and the unspoken tension between all three of them. Ridge knows Sheila Carter. He's seen firsthand the destruction she leaves behind. And the moment he connects the dots, fear sets in, not just for Taylor, but for everyone caught in Sheila's orbit. Ridge confronts Deacon, demanding the truth. When Deacon admits that Sheila overheard his confession, Ridge realizes the full scope of the disaster. This isn't just a romantic complication. It's a potential tragedy waiting to happen. Sheila's next move could be deadly. What makes today's news especially heartbreaking is the sense of inevitability. Viewers know that Sheila never lets things go. She doesn't forgive. She doesn't forget. And now, armed with Deacon's confession, Sheila holds power over multiple lives. Will she expose Deacon's feelings to Brooke, Ridge, or Steffi? Will she manipulate the truth to paint Taylor as a homewrecker? Or will she take matters into her own hands in a way that no one can undo? The fear isn't hypothetical. It's real. And it's growing. Deacon is forced to choose. Perhaps the saddest part of this unfolding drama is Deacon himself. For the first time in his life, he dared to want something pure, something real. And now, that honesty may cost him everything. Deacon stands at a crossroads. Protect Taylor and risk Sheila's wrath, or side with Sheila and lose the woman who inspired him to change. Either way, someone he cares about will be destroyed. And knowing Sheila, she won't settle for emotional damage alone. A tragedy in the making. As today's episode closes, the mood is heavy, somber, and filled with dread. This isn't just another love triangle. It's a slow-moving tragedy driven by obsession, jealousy, and secrets that never should have been overheard. Sheila Carter now knows the truth. Deacon Sharp can't take back his words. And Taylor Hayes is unknowingly standing in the line of fire. Fans are left holding their breath, knowing that when Sheila strikes, she never misses. Final thoughts: sadness, fear, and unavoidable fallout. Today's very sad news on the bold and the beautiful reminds us why this soap continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Love becomes dangerous. Honesty becomes a weapon. And one overheard confession threatens to tear apart lives that were already hanging by a thread. As the days ahead unfold, one thing is certain. Sheila overhearing Deacon's confession about Taylor is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a devastating chain reaction. Final thoughts: sadness, fear, and unavoidable fallout. Today's very sad news on the bold and the beautiful reminds us why this soap continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Love becomes dangerous. Honesty becomes a weapon. And one overheard confession threatens to tear apart lives that were already hanging by a thread. As the days ahead unfold, one thing is certain. Sheila overhearing Deacon's confession about Taylor is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a devastating chain reaction. Final thoughts: sadness, fear, and unavoidable fallout. Today's very sad news on the bold and the beautiful news is wrapped in heartbreak, restraint, and a devastating emotional crossroads. Because Deacon Sharp and Dr. Taylor Hayes are standing on the edge of something neither of them ever planned and both of them deeply fear. What began as cautious friendship, built on shared wounds, quiet understanding, and mutual respect, has slowly, painfully evolved into something far more dangerous. And now, the unthinkable truth is impossible to ignore. Deacon and Taylor are on the brink of crossing a line that could shatter families, reignite old wars, and cost them everything they've worked so hard to rebuild. This isn't a love story filled with excitement or passion-driven recklessness. This is a tragedy unfolding in real time. A friendship born from broken pieces. Neither Deacon nor Taylor went looking for connection. Taylor returned to Los Angeles seeking peace, trying to heal from decades of heartbreak involving Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan, and a lifetime of emotional whiplash. She came back calmer, wiser, determined not to repeat the same destructive patterns that haunted her for years. Deacon, on the other hand, was fighting for redemption. Still labeled a screw-up, still treated like a risk, he worked tirelessly to prove that he was more than his past mistakes. His relationship with Hope gave him purpose. His attempts to build a quiet, honest life were sincere, even if no one truly believed he deserved it. When Deacon and Taylor crossed paths, there was no spark, no agenda, just two people who understood loneliness. And that was the danger, when understanding turns into dependence. At first, their conversations were innocent, short exchanges filled with empathy. Taylor listened without judgment. Deacon spoke without fear of being dismissed. They talked about loss, about regret, about loving people who never fully chose them. Slowly, those conversations became longer, more personal, more necessary. Taylor began to rely on Deacon's honesty, the rawness he never tried to hide. Deacon leaned on Taylor's calm presence, the way she made him feel seen, not condemned. Neither crossed a line physically, but emotionally, they already had. And that realization is what makes today's news so painfully sad. The moment everything changed. Sources say there was a quiet moment, one that will echo for years to come. No dramatic confession, no impulsive kiss, just silence, a look held for too long, a breath caught where it shouldn't have been, a realization that neither of them could deny anymore. They felt it, and instead of joy it brought fear, because both Deacon and Taylor understand the consequences better than anyone. Taylor knows what this would destroy. Taylor has lived through this kind of heartbreak before. She knows exactly how it ends. Crossing this line wouldn't just hurt Brooke. It wouldn't just ignite Ridge's fury. It wouldn't just reopen wounds that never fully healed. It would destroy the fragile peace she's worked so hard to build with her children. Steffi would feel betrayed. Thomas would feel destabilized. Hope, who already struggles with complicated emotions surrounding Deacon, would be crushed. Taylor knows that choosing her own happiness now could cost her everything later. And that knowledge is paralyzing. Deacon's redemption is on the line. For Deacon, the stakes are just as devastating, if not more. He has spent years clawing his way out of the shadows of his past. One wrong step, one perceived betrayal, and everything he's built could collapse overnight. If Deacon crosses this line, he becomes the villain again. He loses Hope's trust. He confirms every fear Brooke has ever had about him. And worst of all, he risks becoming the very man he swore he would never be again. Deacon knows that loving Taylor, even wanting her, could undo his redemption in a single moment. And yet the pull remains. The pain of wanting what you can't have. What makes this situation unbearably sad isn't the temptation, it's the restraint. Both Deacon and Taylor are trying to do the right thing. Both are holding back. Both are silently suffering. Taylor is torn between emotional honesty and moral responsibility. Deacon is torn between connection and consequence. They don't want to hurt anyone. They don't want to cause chaos. They don't want to repeat the past. But wanting doesn't erase feeling. And feeling doesn't disappear just because it's inconvenient. Brooke and Ridge loom over everything. Even when they aren't present, Brooke and Ridge cast long shadows. Taylor can't forget the history. Deacon can't forget the damage. Every time Taylor thinks about taking a step closer to Deacon, she hears Ridge's voice in her head. Every promise broken, every triangle repeated. Every time Deacon feels drawn to Taylor, he remembers Brooke's disappointment, Hope's fragile trust, and the way his mistakes always seem to define him. They aren't just fighting temptation. They're fighting decades of emotional wreckage. A choice that will change everything. Right now, Deacon and Taylor stand at a crossroads. One path leads to honesty, but devastation. The other leads to restraint, but quiet heartbreak. Walking away might save everyone else, but cost them each other. Giving in might bring momentary happiness, but long-term destruction. And the most heartbreaking truth? There's no outcome where someone doesn't get hurt. Why this hurts more than any affair. This isn't scandalous. This isn't reckless. This isn't about passion or betrayal for the sake of drama. This is two damaged souls finding comfort too late, in the wrong place, under impossible circumstances. That's why today's news feels so heavy. That's why it feels tragic instead of exciting. That's why fans are bracing for impact. Because when good intentions collide with bad timing, the fallout is always brutal. What comes next? Will Taylor pull away completely, choosing her children and her hard-earned stability? Will Deacon step back, sacrificing his own happiness to protect his daughter and his future? Or will one moment of vulnerability change everything forever? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. Deacon and Taylor will never be the same. Their friendship has already crossed a line neither of them can uncross. They're fighting decades of emotional wreckage. A choice that will change everything. Right now, Deacon and Taylor stand at a crossroads. One path leads to honesty but devastation. The other leads to restraint, but quiet heartbreak. Walking away might save everyone else but cost them each other. Giving in might bring momentary happiness but long-term destruction. And the most heartbreaking truth? There is no outcome where someone doesn't get hurt. Why this hurts more than any affair. This isn't scandalous. This isn't reckless. This isn't about passion or betrayal for the sake of drama. This is two damaged souls finding comfort too late, in the wrong place, under impossible circumstances. That's why today's news feels so heavy. That's why it feels tragic instead of exciting. That's why fans are bracing for impact. Because when good intentions collide with bad timing, the fallout is always brutal. What comes next? Will Taylor pull away completely, choosing her children and her hard-earned stability? Will Deacon step back, sacrificing his own happiness to protect his daughter and his future? Or will one moment of vulnerability change everything forever? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. Deacon and Taylor will never be the same. Their friendship has already crossed a line neither of them can uncross. Los Angeles has never felt heavier. For decades, the intricate dance of loyalty, betrayal, and forbidden desire has fueled the world of daytime drama. But today, a shift has occurred that feels different. It isn't just a plot twist, it's a seismic event. The news is official, and for many it is profoundly sad. Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes are on the absolute cusp of crossing the line from a supportive friendship into a romantic entanglement that can never be undone. For those who have followed their journey, this isn't just about shipping two characters. It's about the erosion of a safe harbor. It's about two broken souls who found solace in their platonic bond, now risking everything for a moment of shared loneliness. The anatomy of a heartbreak. Why does this feel so tragic? To understand the sadness of today's developments, we have to look at what Deacon and Taylor represented to one another. 1. The sanctuary of the outsider. Both Deacon and Taylor have spent years on the periphery of the Forrester-Logan power struggle. Taylor, the world-renowned psychiatrist who could heal everyone but herself. And Deacon, the bad boy seeking redemption in the eyes of a daughter who barely knew him. When they sat together at Aiel Giardino, they weren't the villain or the saint. They were just two people who understood the exhaustion of trying to be better. 2. The loss of pure friendship. In a world where every conversation is a chess move, their friendship was an anomaly. It was built on coffee, shared secrets, and genuine empathy. By moving toward a physical or romantic line, the purity is sacrificed. There is a deep melancholy in realizing that even the most grounded friendships can fall victim to the will they won't they trope. The moments leading to the edge. The tension has been building like a slow-moving storm. We've watched the lingering glances, the hands that stay held just a second too long, and the confessions that have become increasingly intimate. I don't know who I am without the chaos, Deacon admitted in a recent scene that left viewers breathless. Taylor's response was a whisper. Maybe you're just someone who deserves to be loved without the conditions. It was in that moment that the friendship label began to tear. The tragedy lies in the timing. Both characters are at their most vulnerable. Taylor is grappling with her place in a family that seems to move on without her, and Deacon is terrified that his progress is a house of cards. They aren't running to each other. They are running away from their own pain, and that is a recipe for a beautiful, devastating disaster. The ripple effect. Why the fandom is divided. This news has ignited a firestorm across social media. The very sad sentiment stems from the realization that this union, while passionate, acts as a wrecking ball to the established dynamics. Character potential impact of a Deacon/Taylor romance Brooke Logana betrayal of the highest order. Taylor crossing a line with Brooke's former flame. Hope Logan confusion and hurt over her father's choice of partner, potentially straining her bond with Taylor. Steffi Forrester absolute outrage at her mother settling for a man with Deacon's criminal pedigree. Ridge Forrester a catalyst for jealousy and a possible regression into his old controlling habits. The weight of almost. There is something uniquely painful about the cusp. Being on the edge means there is still a chance to turn back, but we all know the gravity of soap opera narratives. The sadness today comes from the mourning of what was a stable, healthy, supportive friendship, and the fear of what comes next. When Deacon looks at Taylor, he sees a grace he doesn't feel he deserves. When Taylor looks at Deacon, she sees a man who truly sees her, not the doc or the matriarch. If they cross that line, they lose the one person they could be honest with without the baggage of romance. Is it love or loneliness? This is the question haunting the viewers. If this were a grand, sweeping romance, we would be cheering. But today's news feels like two people grabbing onto each other in the middle of a shipwreck. It's desperate, it's raw, and it's undeniably sad because we know that when the high wears off, the consequences will be permanent. What this means for the future. As we process this very sad news, we have to look at the narrative landscape. A Deacon and Taylor pairing changes the DNA of the show. It moves the pieces on the board in a way that ensures no one stays in their comfort zone. For Deacon, this could be his final fall from grace or his ultimate redemption. For Taylor, this is a rebellion against the perfect image she has maintained for so long. The tragedy is that in finding each other, they might lose themselves. A final reflection on the cusp. We watch these stories because they reflect the messiness of the human condition. Today, the messiness feels overwhelming. We wanted Deacon to find peace, and we wanted Taylor to find a love that didn't require her to compete with Brooke Logan. Finding it in each other feels like a shortcut that will eventually lead to a dead end. The lines aren't just social boundaries, they're the safety nets that have kept these characters functional. Once they are crossed, there is no going back to just being friends who get coffee.